Hello and welcome to Whittle Waffle. It's been a while. Today is Monday the 5th of February. Can you bloody well believe it? Like it was Christmas 10 seconds ago and the last time I recorded an episode was about 25 minutes ago. And allegedly 6 months or something like that, I don't know. It's been a while. Yeah, I do this thing where I decide to do something and then I put off doing it, and so then I put off doing the thing because I said I was going to do a thing and then I'm not doing the thing, and so everything gets scrambled and then I just put off doing stuff. And I thought this morning, no, do you know, I've got no plans this morning, little one's at school, I've got a pile of stuff I want to talk about, I've got my lovely Colombo cup that Isabel bought me. Let's do it. I'm trying really hard to look at the camera and not at my own face, but I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm sorry if it bugs you. Usual format. Happy New Year, by the way. I'm going to talk about what I've been reading or listening to, what I've been watching, and other nerdy stuff if I have any, and then knitting and spinning at the end. So if you're not interested in that level of nerdy, you can bugger off. And yeah, I'm not going to go over everything I've watched, read, listened to in the last 6 or so months because that just would be here all day and it's mostly the same things over and over again, so I'm not going to do that, but some highlights. But what I want to talk about first is what I've been writing and reading. So I've got a few of the latest copies of Monster Fun. The latest has my darling little gums on the cover, and I really loved this. I really loved this strip. I was really proud of that one. Very loosely based on my own nana's antics on a mobility scooter. So the next issue comes out this week, I think, on Wednesday. Which is a movie special, and I have now been writing gums for an entire year, so that is really exciting. Well, it is to me, it's like madly exciting, but because it's just one a month, it's like not, I haven't got used to it yet, and it's a page a month, so it's not like loads and loads of writing, but it feels like a really big thing, and I'm really proud of myself, and I think this comic is amazing. I did have a conversation with my 5-year-old where I asked her, we read this whole thing together, and I said, what was your favourite script? I know, I was fishing. Which one was your favourite story? And I was fishing, I was, I'm not going to lie. And she said King Kong, and I thought, fair. I love Alec, he's a brilliant writer, fair. And I said, oh, what about your second favourite? Peaches Creatures. Oh, great, that's new, it's nerd, it's great, I really enjoyed it too, it's fun. And in one less desperate measure, did you like anything else? She said, oh yes, Higher Horror. I liked Higher Horror as well, it's very good. Anything else? She went, Mum, I'm bored now. So that was me put very firmly in my place. Anyway, Monster Fun, still a thing. I'm very, very excited. So that's what I've been writing and reading. Me and Ari've also been reading a lot of old Twinkle annuals, and she's really enjoying them. I have a terrible feeling that I'm raising a child only cut out to live in 1950s, because we're reading My Naughty Little Sister and Millie Molly Mandy and Twinkle. She's rebelling slightly and watching a lot of Five Nights at Freddy on YouTube, so I think that's fair. It'll even out. It will even out. What else have I been reading? I have read another load of the Louise Penny Inspector Gamache books. I've read, I'm up to number 16 now. I'm not going to talk about them a lot. They're fantastic. I'm in love with all of the characters. It's one of those series that I've read 15 books in a year, I think, in the series. and it feels like home, and I just love spending time in that place and with those characters. And even when it's like bad things are happening, it still feels somewhat comforting to spend time there. And I've only got a few left to go, so I'm trying to slow down because I don't want to get caught up and then not have. I am now a binge person, you know. We didn't have binge telly when I was kids, and even I remember this really clearly, that we used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation as a family, and we used to get them on video from the video shop at the bottom of Leamington, and it'd have 3 episodes, or 2 if there were long ones, on each VHS video. No, that was it. There was 2 episodes and you were allowed 3 videos. So the most you could possibly binge is 6 episodes of a 26 episode season. That was it. So I've become a binger as I've got older, and as streaming services and things like that. Anyway, I don't like the idea of running out. I don't like it. So I've slowed down a little bit, and I'm reading some other stuff in the meantime, so that Louise Penny can catch up a little bit and I can have a little bit. I know there's more coming, basically. That's normal, isn't it? So yes, I've been reading those. I also read, I have a favourite author, Kelly Armstrong, who's written a load of series that I love, and they're almost all either paranormal romance, urban fantasy type. I think more paranormal romance than urban fantasy, but it depends on what your definition of that is. And her Women of the Other World series is one of my favourites of like all time. And also she did a series called Rockton, which I love, and a series, what was it called? Omens, the Omens series, Cainsville series, yes. Just about a woman who can see and interpret omens. I really liked that one. It was interesting. I've reread that a couple of times as well. It's good. Anyway, she's got a new series, and this one was called Cursed Luck, and about a woman who's a curse weaver and a curse undoer, and it is definitely in that romance category, but all of Kelly Armstrong's books are so easy to read. They're just like a big bite of something delicious, and they're always funny. There's always like a lightness to them that I really like, and not frothy because they've got some weight about them, and they always have interesting tropes and things, but they're easy to read and I really enjoy them. So I read Cursed Luck, and I read a novella set after that one called Goddess of Summer Love, and I really loved them both, but I haven't read anything by her that I didn't love, so I'm not surprised. She does have a historical series that I ripped through time. I read the first one and I did enjoy it, but historical stuff is not my bag. We all have things that I will read them, but it's not my favourite. So I haven't got around to reading the rest of that series, but I probably will. But it's not like top of the list type thing. So that's it. What else have I been reading? Oh, I started to listen to on Audible, and it's free with your Audible subscription. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I've never read it. And this one's narrated by Dan Stevens, who I love. And I've seen Frankenstein and I know the story, and I've seen the play, but I've never read the book or listened to the book. I feel like how I felt when I watched Interview with a Vampire. In that, I watched Interview with a Vampire and I thought, God, Brad Pitt's awful, isn't he? Like, he's an awful actor. Louis is so dull and boring and awful. And then I read Interview with a Vampire and realised Brad Pitt was an incredible actor who'd managed to put 700 tons of light into it. Oh my God, what's happened to the light? That sun's streaming through the sun in February in Newcastle. What the hell? That better? Yeah. Brad Pitt's an amazing actor who put so much life into that character, because the book was just like, oh my God. Miserable. I hated reading it. I hated Louis. I hated it. Didn't enjoy it. And I have a similar feeling to that reading Frankenstein. Number one, how many times can you use the word benevolent? 22 times in the first 3 chapters. I looked it up. There's more shade than light. There's not a balance. There's just, it's not, I'm not enjoying, like, I read Dracula recently and I liked that a lot more, even though that's quite miserable as well. But I think there's like that sense of coming together to, you know, fight the big evil that at least gives it some texture, whereas this just feels very miserable. It's like when I got through the first 2 chapters or the first 2 stories of the Bell Jar, and I'm just like, oh, I just can't go on, and I don't want to. So I'm not sure if I want to finish it. I'll see. I think especially when you're listening to books and they're really, really dark and depressing, they get in your head even more than when you're reading them, because you've often got like the narrator's tone of voice is all terrible as well, so that you can't like, no, I don't think possibly the end of a long January that was dark and somewhat hard was the time to read Frankenstein. Maybe in July in the daytime when I'm happy or something like that. Maybe I'll try and finish it then, but if I don't, that's okay. I've reached the age where I don't. When I was younger, I had to finish a book I started. I had to, even if it was an absolute drudge. I had to feel like I'd invested in it. I had to finish it, and I don't have that anymore. I think, well, if I'm not enjoying it, why am I going to give more time to it? So that was that. Is that everything? Oh, there's another paranormal romance urban fantasy writer that I absolutely love called Sarah Painter, and she's the author of the Crow series of books. There's quite a lot of those now as well. The Crow Investigations book, and they've got that. Are they more romance? There's a little bit of romance, but there's not overwhelming romance. I think that one falls more into urban fantasy. You see, there's a wavy line between those 2 genres, if they can even be called 2 genres. But there's a little bit of romance, but it's not. The books don't need them. And I think the romance gets stronger. It's a build-up. It's like moonlighting. You know, will the won't the, yes the will. Oh, does it get a bit rubbish then? Didn't in Bones. Did in Moonlighting, because the tension was gone. Yeah. Anyway, there's a bit. And she has a new series called The Board Witch, which it's kind of based in the same universe, but it doesn't have any of the same characters, but the same magic exists. And it's set on a place called Unholy Island, near where Holy Island actually is. And it's a sort of secret island where it has magic that sort of repels people, and only people who need to be there, like a haven, can go there. And there's a woman who's the board witch who keeps the wards going to keep this magic in place. So it's a safe haven type of place. And I really, really liked it. And I also really liked, because I'm from the northeast of England, that some of the places she's talking about are familiar to me. And I like that. It's why I like watching Vera. Because it's really lovely to see places that you recognise, and there's something really lovely about that, and I'm not quite sure I can put my finger on why, but I do like that. So I've really enjoyed The Board Witch. There's a new one coming out, a second, what's it called, sequel coming out soon, I think. Sarah Painter has a really nice newsletter, if you're interested in that sort of thing. I like a newsletter where it's not very often, just every now and again, because I don't like 7,000 emails in my inbox. But it's enough to keep you updated without being a pain. Bird Blend Tea Company, take note. Unsubscribe. What else? I think that's everything that I've been reading. I have legged it through that, haven't I? I have got another couple of things that I've been reading. One I'll talk about in knitting, and one that I got 2 awesome books for Christmas that I haven't read yet because I haven't got around to it or haven't had time, but I'm very excited about, and I've flipped through. And this is one, The Best of John Wagner's Judge Dredd, which I'm really looking forward to. It's a lovely book, it's gorgeous. I can't wait to get stuck into that. So that's one of them my lovely husband got me for Christmas, and this was the other one. Beautiful, gorgeous. I flicked through, but I haven't read it yet. But I think this sort of thing lends to a flick through rather than a sit down and read. The other one's a read, this one's a flick through. So I love these art books, they're fantastic, and Carlos's art is always worth spending some time with. So yeah, lovely things. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into those when I get the chance. I think that's about it. I think that's long enough, isn't it, about stuff that I've been reading. What have I been watching? I'm not going to go over everything about hiatus as well because it's just madness, so I'm just going to pick out a few things. Number one, me and him have been watching Bread from the 80s, you know, you gotta get up, you gotta get up, that one. I can't remember why. I remember why. I bought a fake fur coat and I refer to it as my Lilo Lil, who, if you're not my age, you might not recognise the name, is a character from the sitcom Bread, which is from the 80s, set in Liverpool. And we've watched like 5 series of that. It holds up surprisingly well. Some casual homophobia, but not as bad as you would think. And there's no people of colour in it at all, I don't think. Because they didn't exist in the 80s. I don't know if you know that. So that's a bit strange. But apart from those things, apart from the casual racism and homophobia, you would think it would be worse though. It's not as bad as you think. It's quite bad. It's not that bad. I don't know. There's some of it that's still really relevant and interesting and funny, and it's been really interesting spending some time back in the 80s as a grown-up. I was a child the first time. Honestly, so young. I was barely. Shut up. Again, nostalgia. I'm a nostalgic person, I think. There's a sun again. Sorry about that. I wouldn't mind, but it's flipping miserable outside. Oh, there we go. I don't know if I'm feeling quite nostalgic about everything at the minute. I don't know. Maybe it's since my last grandparent died last year. Who knows? Craving things from our youth. Him upstairs has been watching Grange Hill, which is, you know, I don't want to go there. What else? Hilda series 3. We finally got around to watching that, and it's beautiful and glorious and wonderful, and I loved every second of it, and I'm sort of sad it's finished, but I'm also kind of glad that it's ended on a beautiful, gorgeous high. It's just, the whole 3 series in the movie are just perfection. If you've read the comic books that they're based on, they are so true to the feeling of those books and the characters in those books. And the thing is, you don't have to miss it because you can start it again from the beginning, which we've done. My little one just absolutely loved. She gets a little bit obsessed with things and watches them over and over and over again, and then we don't watch them again for ages and ages and ages. But so we hadn't watched Hilda for a long time, but she really loved watching series 3, and then we've gone back to the start and we're watching it again, and it's just wonderful. Just wonderful. I can't recommend it enough, based on the comic books by Luke Pearson. Wonderful, wonderful. What else have I been watching? I watched Doctor Who. I watched the I'm so sorry about the light. I cannot do anything about it. Keeps making us look angelic though, doesn't it? What are my thoughts on Doctor Who? I had some problems with the Doctor Who. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I am an absolute lover of the bloody thing. And I was really excited about it. And I was really excited about seeing Catherine Tate and David Tennant back together. There are going to be spoilers here. I'm sure you've watched it if you wanted to. And there was some lovely stuff. In it. It was just wonderful to see the Cribbins very briefly, but nice. I like Kate Lethbridge Stewart. I love her character. I like the other characters in Unit. It was lovely to see Bonnie. There was a lot to like. Neil Patrick Harris was amazing. I didn't like how they left it. Why can't they kill Tennant off? There's already multiple copies of the David Tennant Doctor running around the Earth. There's the one who's banging Billy in the alternate universe, isn't there? We don't know if he's still around, isn't he? I think he is. And I think there was another one, wasn't there? Wasn't there another one? I can't quite remember. But there's at least one, and that's enough. Like, so if you absolutely had to bring him back, he exists in the universe already. We don't need how many copies of David Tennant's. I mean, I love David Tennant. He is an amazing doctor and he's an amazing actor and he seems like a really nice man, but it felt a little bit weird having the two TARDISes as well. Like, what is it? Is it in case, you know, the black guy doesn't manage? It smacked a bit weird and left me feeling quite uncomfortable. Like, what, in case he needs bailing out or something? I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like the idea of two TARDISes kicking about. The Doctors have frequently visited each other in their timelines before. We even saw this as far back as with Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, who I fancy more and more as I get older as well, and William Hartnell in the Three Doctors. We saw them all in each other's timelines. We've seen it in the Two Doctors and the Five Doctors and Christmas specials. Is there any true need for there to be an extra TARDIS and an extra Doctor kicking about in the same timeline? I don't think so, and it didn't sit well with us. That thing about women letting stuff go, and so they just got rid of the stuff that was good. That didn't sit well with us either. Like, I don't know about you other women, but I'm really fucking shit at letting things go. Like, I can hold a grudge for the rest of the time, so I don't even know what I was talking about. I don't let shit go. Ever. So I didn't get that. I didn't understand it. Didn't know how to get out of it. I don't know. Didn't like that. Lots to love. Some stuff that was a bit dubious. So that was the Tennant one. I'm going to cough. I'm so sorry. As we know, I don't do editing. I wouldn't ever do this if I had to do editing. Sorry. The Christmas special, I liked quite a bit more. I liked the Nana. I think Russell particularly is very good at bringing the families in, and I really liked Ruby. I liked her family. I liked the Nana. I liked the whole premise. I liked the horrible little goblins that were terrifying. My kiddo preferred the Neil Harris, perimenopausal. Kid preferred that. I preferred this one. Wasn't it interesting how many outfit changes. Chitika, wasn't it? Ooh. How many action figures am I going to have to buy for my shelf? Clever. I like that a lot more. I found it a lot less problematic. I found it a lot more fun, and it made us excited for the series. But I might have to watch the Tenant one again, because it just left me feeling a little bit cross, actually, and that's not how I like it. I don't like it when my favourite programmes leave us cross. And I don't like to be one of those people who's just whinging about it and say, and then having people say to us, well, if you don't like it, why do you watch it? Well, I watch it because I love it, and I love it a lot, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. So those are the issues I had with it. The other thing I've been watching recently is Doom Patrol. I started watching Doom Patrol. I love this so hard, I can't even tell you. And I'm watching mostly Doom Patrol all of the time at the moment, because the streaming service that it's on is stopping showing it at the end of February, so I have to watch it all before we'll have to pay for it. Or even if you can pay for it, I'm not even sure if it's going somewhere where you can buy it. I don't know. Anyway, my favourite, Brendan Fraser, amazing, love him so hard. The cast is incredible, and it's a really strange one, in that it's so funny. It's like hurt yourself laughing 1 minute, and then just absolutely heart-wrenchingly terrible and scary the next minute, and deals with some really quite heavy topics, like child abuse for a start. However, it's done in such a way that the humour is incredible, and the action is fantastic, and the mystery unfolding is great. And Alan Tudyk is the bad guy in the first series, and he's Alan Tudyk, of course he's brilliant. He's amazing in everything, and I love it so hard. So I've just started series 3. I only have good things to say. I think it's beautiful to look at. I think it's exciting and funny, and it's sad and tragic, and everything. It's like everything rolled up, and superheroes. Can't recommend it enough. If you're even vaguely nerdy, I think you would love Doom Patrol at the end. And there's one film I want to talk about. I watched Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning over the Christmas period. Now, I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a massive action film fan, particularly action movies of the 80s, when they were the best, obviously. And I have loved the Mission Impossible series. All of them. Even 2, which is the worst. Even 2 has some moments in it that make it worth watching. I love the first one for lots of different reasons. Sean Reno's in it, for God's sake. And they're just fun. They're fun. And they don't take themselves too seriously. And maybe they did in the beginning, and that's why 2 doesn't quite work. But as they've gone on, there's a real element of fun in them. And I've just loved them. And they've developed these characters and these relationships as well, which have been, sometimes have just been one film long, sometimes a couple, like Jeremy Renner's been in 2 films, and he's amazing in both of them. Some characters are in most of them, like Simon Pegg, I think, comes in 3 or 4. And Thingy Bob, whose name is completely gone. He plays Luther. He's been in it since the first one. I think he missed a couple, but all these characters have developed, and relationships have developed. Dead Reckoning, I think, is a mess. I think it's a mess. I think they've brought in stuff that have not been mentioned in any other films, which just I found jarring. The idea that they all got together for a reason that didn't exist in any of the other films, and so it's just what you're just retconning that. Like, what film are we up to now? 7, 8? You're just retconning that in? No. So I didn't like that. some things in it are so distracting, like the dye job on Simon Pegg's hair is like massively distracting when you're watching it on a big telly, and Tom Cruise, and I'd never ever noticed a dye job on him before, and it is really obvious in this one. Little things like that can really pull you out. The treatments of some of the characters, like I can hear my voice getting all ranty, like oh my god. Ilsa, awful, and yet we're expected to believe that Ethan has exactly the same connection he has with Ilsa with Hayley Atwell, even though she's just turning up in this film, and that's so the other woman's just being thrown away. I didn't like it. I was listening to lovely Barry from the Geek Syndicate talk about it, and he absolutely loved it, and I can absolutely see why lots of people would absolutely love it. I had lots of issues with it. It does, like, I can't even say that I enjoyed it. I tell you what I did enjoy. I wrote a review of it on Letterboxd. I don't know if you know about Letterboxd. I'm rubbish at it. I've only written like one review, and I only set it up to remember which old movies I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of older movies at the moment, and I forget because there's so many of them on Prime. I forget which ones I've seen and not. So I set up Letterboxd just for those ones. However, I did write a review of Dead Reckoning on, and it wasn't a good review, and the little Mission Impossible box came up after I'd written it, saying it was gonna, like, I had 5 seconds before it was gonna, and that made us laugh. So that was the only thing I did like about it, was the the little thing somebody's put on Letterboxd when you write a review of it is really cool. Make your own judgment. Let me know if you've watched it and you're a fan of those movies. Let me know what you think, because I don't know if I'm the only one out there thinking like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? And I thought it was messy, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And I understand it was a part. Also, the other thing is, nerds there. The amazing thing about Tom Cruise, and say what you want about Tom Cruise, and you can say quite a lot, and I'm not going to touch on this stuff here. However, I will say Scientology is a cult. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, shit. No, completely gone. Oh, yes, that's it. So, Tom Cruise is really famous for making real stunts, doing real stunts, putting his life on the line often, so that these real stunts are breathtaking, and when you watch them, you know that that's him doing it. That works if a lot of the rest of the film isn't CGI'd to death around the stunt, which makes it look fake, so you don't believe in it. So what's the point in wasting all of that money on doing like real stunts that look fake? I don't see the point. It takes away from it. And yeah, I was so excited for that movie because I thought the last one was amazing. Absolutely amazing, and they could have ended the series there actually, and it would have been a really, really perfect end to the series if they'd left it there. This one I don't think adds anything to the franchise and takes away a little bit from it, so we'll wait and see what part 2 brings, whenever the hell that's going to be ready, and maybe that'll fix some of the stuff that I found messy and wrong in this one. Yeah, disappointing. Like, you know, when you finish watching a film and you're angry, I felt like that at the end of that film. So okay, I've been talking a long time now, and I've still got some other stuff I want to talk about. Other nerdy stuff, not a lot. I will say, I was going to talk about something else. Oh yeah, this can count in other nerdy stuff as well. So 2 things. One, I am hoping to go to Lawless this year, which is in May, the end of May. So that is the Celebration of British Comics convention in Bristol in May. So I am hoping to be there. And it looks like it's going to be a good one. The guest list is incredible, absolutely incredible. So yeah, and there's a VIP event and all sorts of stuff going on. So yes, I really hope to be there. Fingers crossed. I was going to mention a couple of YouTube channels that I've been watching a lot at the minute. 2 of them are knitting related and one of them isn't. The one that isn't is my lovely friend Stephen Arian, who is an amazing writer, has like a ton of books out now. 7, 8-ish, something like that. It's amazing. He has a YouTube channel and I find it really interesting. I just like to see I think it helps that I just like to see my friend on the big telly. But he's been doing a little series of shorts at the moment, about 5 minutes long, where he answers questions about the writing process. All sorts of things, like the difference between being traditionally published and self-published, and how to write and what to avoid, and all sorts of little questions that you might have had in little bite-sized chunks. And I've been really enjoying that series. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, Stephen writes fantasy, epic, heroic type fantasy novels. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, and even if you're just interested in writing, then it's worth going and having a look at Stephen's channel. His accent isn't as comedic as mine, but you know, he hasn't lived here for a while, but it's still there sometimes. I bet if he said knickers, he would sound like a Geordie. If you're watching, I expect you to say knickers on the next episode, Stephen. And 2 favourite knitting or fibre crafts related channels that I'm obsessed with at the minute is, one is Mel Makes Stuff. She's an American crafter. She spins, she sews, she knits, she crochets. She makes really interesting choices that sort of the majority of the podcasters tend to like all be knitting the same thing, and it can get a little bit repetitive. She's not knitting anything anybody else is, and she does a lot of colour work and lace and interesting heavy techniques, which means she doesn't podcast very often because these things take longer to make than your standard stock and stitch jumper. But she's so detailed, and when she talks about her processes and her crafting and things, and the nerd in me just loves that. The same goes for Lisa at the Soulful Spinner, I think she is, who is a spinner and a knitter and crafter as well. And I love the processes she shows, because although I've been spinning for quite a while now, I just tend to spin the same wool over and over and over again. I'm not what's the word? You know, when you're happy doing the basics sort of thing, and she's more advanced and she does different techniques, and I was watching her using her blending board in the last episode, and it was really interesting. And I always want to do more stuff spinning wise, but I kind of get a little bit off put, because I mean, spinning as a hobby is one of the more expensive ones equipment wise. Fleece and fibres can be quite cheap, but equipment is expensive. So blending boards and corders and drums and everything, it's a big outlay. So I tend to be quite happy pottering at my, she says, knowing, I say there's knowing there are 4 spinning wheels in my house. But I just do the basics, baby. Cross the 4 wheels. Well, across the 3. I don't use the little one. I have it. Anyway, I've gone off a tangent. I have a castle style wheel. I have a traditional style wheel, which is like the Sleeping Beauty style one. I have an electric wheel, which I use probably the most, I have to be honest. And I have a mini electric wheel, which I never use. Tis here though. Just live here. So yes, those are the channels I wanted to speak about. I love Lisa's. There's something really gentle and relaxing, and I love getting a cuppa in my knitting and spending an hour when Lisa posts. So if you're looking for something like that, or gentle, she does show a lot of techniques which I like, but she does talk about her knitting and her spinning and her purchases and all of that, and I really she's one of my favourites. So those. And I'll move into the knitting now, actually. I'll try and be brief because I know lots of you don't like it. I can't find it, but my kiddo has fallen in love with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hard recently. So we went to see Mutant Mayhem, but she was already fallen down the before that, watching stuff on YouTube and things. But we went to see the movie at the cinema, and since then it's been quite hardcore. She got turtles for Christmas and a turtles bus thing, and you know. So I bought the Joy Gammon book, which is all turtles knitting patterns, and I can't find it. I think she's nicked it, to be honest. It'll be up in her room somewhere. But I fell down the Joy Gammon knitting pattern on eBay rabbit hole, and I just haven't been able to stop myself, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see them. Victoria Plum. Do you remember Victoria Plum? If you're a lady of my age, you will. The book's written by Angela Rippon of Can Get a Still Leg Over Her Shoulder in her 80s, or however old she is now, 80. Is she 80? On Strictly Come Dancing. She wrote these books, Victoria Plum, which I loved, about a little fairy. There's a knitting pattern that I'm going to make. Scooby-Doo. The little one is also obsessed with Scooby-Doo. Sylvester and Tweety Pie. They're all from the 80s. And there's a Postman Pat. And Ari says she absolutely does not want this one. This is the Thomas the Tank Engine, which I think is glorious, but no, I didn't want that one. And this one is my hubby got us for Christmas, is Rainbow Bright. And I've just remembered, hang on, can I spot it? She also wrote did this one, the Doctor Who pattern book, which I got a couple of years ago, and have failed to knit anything out of, even though it's fantastic. I really, really want to knit. Let us find it. Sorry, this is really engaging television, podcasting, YouTubing, whatever. Where is it? There's a K9. Which I cannot find. Where? Look at this. You can sew the TARDIS and a Yeti. And that looked like Patrick Troughton's fur coat on there as well. Nah, I can't find it. Oh, there he is. Little knitted. I'll get there one day. I like to have these things around. So because I'd gone on to World of Books to buy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pattern book, I also picked up some other knitting books on there as well. This one, Mary Thomas's Book of Knitting Patterns. This is a reproduction of the 1943 edition, and it's just got some wonderful patterns and motifs and charted and things like that, and I've been really enjoying spending some time with that. And I also got this one. Patty Lyons is like my knitting crush. She's such a good teacher. I've taken one of our online classes, and she is such a good teacher, and I think she calls herself a teacher first and a designer second. And to be honest, I haven't actually knit any of her patterns, but I love her teaching method. Really works for me. And this is her knitting bag of tricks, and it's really, really, really good. And I mean, a lot of it I've been knitting a long time, and there's a lot of it that I know. Some of these things were covered in a class that I did, which I think was called Knitting Bag of Tricks. However, having it here too, especially the one about gauge, like I've been knitting for years and years and years. I rarely ever knit a swatch or a gauge swatch or check things, which is ridiculous. I know better. I'm just lazy and I don't want to. And then I forget, like I'm also a person who's scared of maths. and I know that basically is maths, and so I try and avoid it at all possible times. I always struggled with maths as a kid, and I used to get picked on by the teachers because I couldn't get it. So I just have this block in my head now where I just, oh, I see maths and I run away. But the way she lays it out is so easy to understand. It doesn't make you feel silly, and that. Things I've been knitting, I knit what I am wearing. Whoa, hey. I had to stand up a little bit. Oh, that's mostly just my boobs, isn't it? Well, this pattern is called Vest Number 1 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. Would I recommend the pattern? Yes, with a caveat. It's a very, very good pattern, which is very easy and very clear. However, this is the biggest size. I've knit the biggest size. So for anybody who's got a even bigger bust line one than mine, these people do exist, I'm sure. Tough shit for you. You can't knit it unless you do some of the dreaded maths. I'd modified it slightly. It has in the pattern, when you do the neckline, you knit this little bit of ribbon on 3 size needles, fold over and tuck in, and so it's like a double folded over brim. I've got no need for extra bulk around my neck at my age, and with the heat that I knitted it on purpose to have no sleeves, so I'd be slightly cooler but still warm here. I don't need extra, so I just omitted that and just knit like 1/2 inch or something of ribbon and cast off with the modified conventional bind off, which is my favourite. For knit one, purl one. Knit one, purl off, cast off. The modified conventional is my favourite. And so yeah, I did that. I really like it. The yarn is Woolly Knits, their DK, which is quite rustic, so it is I wouldn't like to wear it next to my skin. It's but over my shirt. It's absolutely lovely, and I really like it, and I've worn it quite a few times, and I'm really pleased with it. I'm so pleased with it that I've knit a second one with a fluffy yarn in a grey, which I would show you, but it's drying right now because I've just finished it. I cast it off yesterday. It's just had a bath and it's drying, so I'll show you it next time if I remember. This is also my favourite thing that I knitted recently. I've been knitting a lot. Over Christmas, I knit something like 7 or 8 pairs of socks, 3 or 4 hats, some other things. I knit a lot. So I've wanted to knit garments at the moment, and so that's what I'm doing. So I knit this jumper. It's a cropped jumper. I didn't really use a pattern. It's just raglan until it fit. Raglan is this style of increasing in the body. So you cast on around the neck, and then you make increases here, 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 and the same at the back until it can fit right across the widest part of your body, which is your shoulders. You knit to about here. Then you put your sleeve stitches on hold, and then you knit the body down as long as you like. And I knit it to like the top of my jeans. I wanted to wear this with high-waisted trousers for work. I knit a 3/4 length sleeve because I like to wear chunky bracelets at the moment, and I didn't do any ribbon at the sleeve. I did an I-cord cast off which rolls slightly, which I really like, and then I wear it with a big chunky bracelet. This is knit out of Drops alpaca in the like 4-ply sock weight. It's the softest, most gorgeous thing. I can wear this next to my skin. I love the colour, which is like a petrol, and it's got different shades of sort of green and blue in there, which I don't think the camera will pick up. It is so soft and comfortable and light, and it took hardly any yarn. I think it was 3, I can't even remember, 3 balls, 4 balls. It is cropped, sleeves and length, and I just love it. I have to stop myself wearing it all of the time. It's my favourite. I did a little bit of spinning, but I'm a terrible spinner in that I had sorted out my I have a big craft cupboard upstairs with all my knitting related shenanigans in it, and I saw a goddamn carpet beetle in there. Now, I don't know if any of you have been around long enough to remember Mothgate, but oh my god, the panic. So I had to empty out everything, shake everything, hoover, clean, just in full on panic, and I didn't find any more. It doesn't mean there aren't any more, but it means I didn't find any more, and so I'll be doing it every couple of months, tossing the stash. Oh my god, the panic, I can't even tell you. Anyway, I had two braids of fibre from Cat and Sparrow, and I got a bad fright when I looked at them because they were I used to be in their monthly club a long time ago, and they were in plastic wrappers that are compostable. And I thought beetles had got into it because the wrappers were open and ribboned, and I was just past myself. So I brought them downstairs, and it turned out that they'd just been in the cupboard for so long that the compostable material that they were wrapped in had started to break down. So in my panic of chucking the packets away, thinking that they'd got carpet beetles in them, I lost the tags which told you what the fibres were. So I've got no idea what I spun, no idea. This one is quite it's woolly. It's very woolly. I love the colours. There's it's quite muted, but there's like the odd sort of like snotty green that I like. I'm sure there's a better word for it than that. It's really, I haven't done an awesome job panic spinning it, but it's mostly about a decayed aran weight, a little bit thick and thin, quite rustic and woolly, and I really like it. It'll make a good accessory or thick socks. And the other one has some drape in it. You can see the difference. This one's wool, and if you hold the skein, it kind of like holds itself up, and this one has got brewer's droop. So there's obviously something in there, silky or alpaca-y, or I think it might be alpaca because it has a similar texture, similar hand, or something silky. And there's a grey and a green that I've applied together. The grey is quite shiny. I don't know if it's a plant fibre, bamboo or silk or something, but it's very drapey and it's very nice, and I enjoyed spinning it very much, even though I don't know what it is. I mean, it's very drapey. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I just needed to spin them because the packets, like I say, the packets had broken down and had scared us. And then this is the last thing, I promise. The last thing I'm knitting, I fancied knitting a dress. I've never knit a dress, and I think because I'm a bigger lady, knitted dresses worry me because the amount of material that would have to be in the body of the dress to fit me means that I think it would just pull out of shape. It's very hard to get a lot of structure into a knitted dress. Also, my second worry is that it would like fit nicely in the top half, where I have like a sort of typical hourglass figure, so I'm bigger on the top and the hips, and then slightly smaller in the middle. Is that it would fit nicely on the top half, but then it would cling to my stomach on the way down, which I just, 3 babies in perimenopause just does not want anything clinging to the tummy. And then I thought, but I still had the idea that I wanted to knit a dress, and so I was thinking about it, and then I remembered this pattern, and there's not a good picture of it in the I'm trying to find it quickly in the pattern book, which is called, it's from this Pom Pom magazine. Pom Pom sadly, no more, have shut down. But I've knit the top version of this pattern before. It's called Cloud Bowl. I've knit this, and I thought, because this is knitted such a loose open gauge, like you couldn't wear it without anything underneath, so I would have to wear something under it anyway. So I thought I could knit this and wear, I think they have you double the stitches around the waistband if I remember rightly. I'm going to double them and then double them again, so it comes right out rather than just a little bit out. And then I'll still do, there's like a little flounce at the bottom, I'll do that as well, because I have tons and tons and tons and tons of this wool, which I got on a giant cone from Woolly Knits in the sale for a tenner, and I misread how much you got. And when it came, like, I was like, what the hell is that? It's massive, and I can't, it's lace weight. This is it here in a little ball. I've got tons and tons and tons of it, and it's a sort of, it's a black wool that's been plied with a slubby white cotton. So it's a cotton wool blend, but I'm thinking that it is going to droop. It just is, but because it's knit at quite an open gauge, which means this, like, you can see your face through it. Like, this isn't an open gauge, for example. Can't see my face. Or you can just see, you can see some light come through, but this is like, you can see my whole face. It's going to be completely see-through. So this is the first panel unit. Is that right? Yeah, it's knit in panels and picked up, and it's very, very clever, the pattern. This is the first panel, which looks titchy. That's supposed to go over my boobs. I don't know if it will. We'll see. I don't think it will. We'll see. Anyway, so I've knit the first panel, and my idea being that if I'll still get a knitted dress, but it will weigh hardly anything because of the open gauge, so it might not droop too much. And I've bought one of those big 1980s elasticated belts with the butterflies on, and my idea is that I'll wear that with it to cinch it in at the waist, and then have quite a lot, and then leggings underneath. Gorgeous, possibly. Anyway, I'm doing it. And then if it's awful, you know, the best thing about knitting is you can pull it out. You can just pull it out and you can do something else with it instead. How cool is that? Nothing set in stone with knitting. Even if you've knit a thing and worn it for years, you can still undo the wool and take it back. It's amazing. It is amazing. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm knitting a dress. Oh, with this pretty book. And I'm enjoying it. I haven't got any spinning on the go at the minute. I just finished those panic spins, and I've got a massive amount of brown. I'm gonna have to find out what it is. I'll just get it. This is Black Welsh Mountain wool, and this is what I think the carpet beetle came out of. So I brought it downstairs away from the rest of my stash, and the idea I thought was, well, I'll spin it straight away and then it's done. Sorry, it's lovely, chocolate brown. I bought like enough to spin for a jumper, which I've never done, and then the idea of spinning this much scared us, so it's been sitting up in the cupboard for at least a year, possibly 2. And I thought, if I bring it down, A, if it did come out of this, it's not going to infest anything else, and B, it might, if it's in my eye line all the time, then I might fucking spin it. You never know. That's the idea. yet it has been sitting down here several months now and I haven't. So that's it. That's everything. It's not everything. It's not even the surface of what I've been up to since last time I talked to you. It's not the surface of what I've read or written or watched or one more thing before I go. Are you watching New Gladiators? It's so good. It's so good that we went back on YouTube and watched the first. We've just finished watching the second series of OG Gladiators, and it's just glorious. And New Gladiators and OG Gladiators is just brilliant, apart from John Pashney, who's terrible. And interesting nerd fact, in this series was Simon Bisley's sister Paula, and Simon Bisley was in the audience, the Biz. So that was quite exciting. And yes, loving that, loving it. Oh, the nostalgia. I am just 90% nostalgia these days. 90%. That's it. I shall hopefully do one of these again soon and not put it off. No promises. I'll try and remember to put some links underneath when I post it, but I'm very fickle. Very. And that's it. I'm done. I'll see you next time. I'm sorry if it was a bit crazy. I'm not that sorry. It's what I'm like in real life. Anyway, see you later.